Hey, welcome back. I'm Aspiringspike. Another day, another new brew in Modern. Companions are taking the format by storm. By far the most popular is Lurrus. We're seeing it in lots and lots of decks, particularly because Mishra's Bauble plus Lurrus is just such a powerful interaction, and it's pretty easy to slot into a lot of archetypes. But today, instead of playing Lurrus, we're playing Zirda the Dawnwaker. This card's companion restriction is each permanent card in your starting deck has to have an activated ability. Now that was a really interesting restriction to build around. It meant we couldn't play the Devoted Druid Vizier of Remedies combo because Vizier doesn't have an activated ability. We couldn't play Eternal Witness, which is a card I would love to have in this deck. We couldn't splash blue for Icefang Coatl. But I think that even with those restrictions, Zirda is worth it. So the combo payoff with Zirda is Umbral Mantle. Umbral Mantle, not a super popular equipment, but combines with Zirda really well. It's a 3-mana equipment, 0 mana to equip, and you can spend 3 mana to untap the creature it's equipped to give it +2/+2 till end of turn. So if you slap this on a mana dork, you can tap your mana dork for a mana, and then with Zirda in play, reducing the activated ability by 2, you spend 1 mana to untap it, and you can do that an infinite amount of times and make your mana creature infinitely big. Ideally, you put it on a Birds of Paradise, which has flying and can fly over your opponents, but it works with Noble Hierarch, Dryad Arbor, makes infinite mana with Joraga Treespeaker, and sometimes you can, just make them chump block every turn or give protection from a creature that they have with Giver of Runes. So that's the combo. That's the payoff for playing Zirda, and it's been pretty good so far. So let me go ahead and talk about some of our card choices, and then we'll just run into a league. So we've got a ton of 1-drops in this deck, and one thing I really like about this archetype is instead of these mana creatures being dead draws in the late game, you're actually comboing with them, so being able to play 9 mana creatures feels very good. We're also a deck that's playing 4 Ranger-Captain of Eos, and so I like that Ranger-Captain can get us our mana creatures for the combo. It can get Joraga Treespeaker to make infinite mana if that's something we need to do, and I think it's pretty free to just play 1 copy. Because this card is quite slow. Tapping for double green is awkward with so many white symbols in the deck. But just being able to play 1 and having lots of access to it with Ranger-Captain and Eladamri's Call has been pretty good so far. We're also playing 1 Giant Killer, 1 Hexdrinker, and 1 Walking Ballista as other targets for Ranger-Captain to kind of outgrind your opponent in various situations. And I've liked that so far. I have chosen to play Eladamri's Call plus Aether Vial instead of Collected Company, or maybe Collected Company plus Court of Calling, because I really like how Aether Vial plays with Stoneforge Mystic, being able to use your mana to activate Stoneforge Mystic and then still be putting creatures into play with Aether Vial, being able to either put a Ranger-Captain into play and then cast your 1-drop, or be able to cast your Ranger-Captain and Vial in your 1-drop. Or also just search up a creature with Eladamri's Call and put it into play with Vial. And that makes sense in this more combo-focused strategy. Also, you always have Zirda in your hand, so you need a little less gas than a deck that doesn't have a companion. So I think that Collected Company is slightly less required in this archetype. And we talked about the 1-drop tutor targets. Stoneforge Mystic, super good in this deck. I love that it tutors up the Umbral Mantle for the combo. And one thing that's really nice is Zirda reduces Stoneforge's activated ability to just 1 mana. So when you have Zirda in play and you have Stoneforge and you get your Umbral Mantle, you can just spend 1 mana to put the mantle into play, 0 mana to equip to the creature, and then 1 mana to get the infinite combo going, which is not that expensive, which has been really nice. 1 Scavenging Ooze, mostly as an Eladamri's Call target to beat up on the graveyard decks. We're also playing 1 Spike Feeder, 1 Heliod. We're not very in on this combo, but it feels pretty free to play it. You usually tutor up 1 when you've drawn the other, and then you can make infinite life, and I've liked having access to it so far. Playing the 4 Ranger Captains, which we already talked about, a card I really like just in general. I think this card is incredibly powerful, and fits super nicely into this deck because it can grab our combo pieces, protection pieces, and outgrind. Playing 1 Knight of the Reliquary. I've considered going a little more in on Knight of the Reliquary, playing cards like Inkmoth Nexus or Blinkmoth Nexus, which can combo with Umbral Mantle. But I think just 1 copy is fine. I don't think this card is incredibly powerful in Modern anymore. I think that the overpower level has kind of surpassed Knight of the Reliquary. But it's been nice to be able to just Eladamri's Call for a really good grindy 3-drop and have it be able to grab you a Gavony Township, which works really well with Zirda, reducing the ability by 2. Your Horizon Canopy, or potentially Dryad Arbor, which can combo with Umbral Mantle. I've chosen to play Sword of Light and Shadow instead of any of the other swords, and this is mostly because we lack any other way to recur creatures from the graveyard. We can't play Eternal Witness, so I like having the sword we play be sort of Light and Shadow, being able to get our combo pieces that die back from the graveyard. I'm also playing a Sword of Fire and Ice in the sideboard, and I've always liked Sword of Fire and Ice as a sideboard card more so than Feast and Famine, because this card is very good against opposing creature decks, being able to pick them off, and I think it's really good against the Grixis Delver deck right now. Also playing 1 Shalai, Voice of Plenty. The activated ability is reduced by Zirda, which is pretty nice. And this is mostly a value card, but if you make infinite mana with Treespeaker, you can activate the ability infinite amount of times. A good Eladamri's Call target, good against the burn decks, good against Valakut decks. I've liked having access to it. Batterskull to go with the Stoneforge Mystic, Walking Ballista for if we're making infinite mana, or just if we want to ping a bunch of creatures and we have a Ranger-Captain to grab it. Onto the sideboard. Sideboard was also a challenge to build because I think you always want to have access to Zirda, so you couldn't play a card like Core Firewalker, which is really good in Modern right now, instead of playing Burrenton Forge-Tender, which does have an activated ability to sacrifice it and prevent all damage a red source would deal. So we're playing this for the red decks, 3 Path to Exile when we need removal, 1 Remorseful Cleric as a faster Graveyard Hate spell that we can tutor for with Eladamri's Call than Ooze against Dredge. 1 Selfless Spirit for decks with sweepers that we can tutor for. 2 Relic, again, to hedge against the Dredge matchups. And 4 Veil of Summers. There are a lot of fair blue and black decks that are going to pick us apart with spot removal, and I think Veil of Summer is excellent in this deck. So that's the deck. I did pick up a trophy earlier this week over on twitch.tv/Aspiringspike. If you want to see more brews, you can watch me play every weekday from 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Central Standard Time over there, or just subscribe here. But without any further ado, I will see you in a league. We won the die roll for match number 1. Like this hand. Got all of our combo pieces, have Stoneforge Mystic. Even have a Giver of Runes to protect. We are playing against a Lurrus deck, which can be kind of intimidating. I know I want to lead on Aether Vial. I think that I'd like to just fetch up a basic Plains here. Looks like a burn strategy, so getting this Giver of Runes down is going to be pretty key. Another basic is kind of nice. We drew the Batterskull, which is pretty interesting, so I think we're going to tutor up Umbral Mantle with the Stoneforge Mystic. How do we want to do this? I think I'd like to have the Giver of Runes already in play and able to activate when we cast the Stoneforge, if we can. I'm not sure how viable that is. Feels a little too slow to not cast the Stoneforge this turn. So let me just do that, and then we can decide whether or not we'd like to Violin the Giver or the Treespeaker. Almost definitely Giver, but could see things changing depending on like what we reveal to Goblin Guide, what our opponent does on their turn. Another land. So they saw us get Umbral Mantle and not Batterskull. Yeah, so they're gonna, looks like they're gonna skewer us. And then they're gonna bolt the Stoneforge. Okay. So let's go ahead and put in Giver of Runes. Say yes to this. Now, I want to cast Zirda. I'm going to leave this on 1 to put the Treespeaker into play. I want to cast Zirda this turn, I think. Oh, Knight of the Reliquary is a really interesting draw. Knight of the Reliquary lets us cast Batterskull, not this turn, but next turn. So if we play Zirda this turn, we vial in Joraga Treespeaker, and then on their turn we activate Treespeaker for 1 mana. Then we'll have 5. We can go infinite next turn. But it does require us going down to 9, which could put us dead to 3 burn spells, but hopefully our opponent... I mean, ideally our opponent just casts Lurrus and isn't able to do anything beyond that. Well, we can gain infinite life by making infinite mana with Treespeaker and making it infinitely big, and then attacking with a life-linking Treespeaker. Okay, so they're going to bolt the Giver. I'm going to pro-red my Zirda. Hopefully this survives. It does not. Okay. Well, that changes things. Another land revealed off the Goblin Guide, although a land I would have loved to have in my hand last turn. Okay, gonna put this vial, or, use the vial, put the Treespeaker into play. Then let's go ahead and tick up the Aether Vial to 2. Ranger-Captain would be a lot better if this were game 1 and we had access to Forge-Tender to get. Oh, sorry, if this were game 2 and we had access to Forge-Tender to get. So let me just play the Knight, play this tapped Razorverge Thicket, and hope my opponent doesn't have Boros Charm plus 1 mana burn spell in their hand. I will block this Goblin Guide with Knight. I'm like pretty happy to trade Knight for Goblin Guide plus burn spell on this spot. Second Goblin Guide is problematic, but it's not that different from just a burn spell. They cast Lurrus as well. No attacks, that's really good for us. So let's take this up to 3. Spike Feeder is an excellent draw. So let me cast this Batterskull. Probably just playing Temple Garden tapped and then passing. Also kind of weird that our opponent didn't attack with the Goblin Guides while they have Lurrus in play. They might have just been able to get 2 points of damage in and then replay a Goblin Guide from the graveyard. I like holding the Spike Feeder because it kind of incentivizes our opponent to just try to burn our face if they have enough damage. And then we can respond by putting the Spike Feeder into play. And we can make them make the first move next turn by attacking with our Germ token, or maybe just equipping onto the Knight. Yeah, so they're going to Helix our face, which is not enough to get there for them. One card I've seen people talk about in Burn lately that I think would be pretty interesting is playing Vexing Devil, the 1 mana 4/3 that your opponent can either pay for or just let stick in play. Seems pretty good with Lurrus. Okay, gonna get the Ranger Captain down. think I'm grabbing Noble Hierarch here. A Giant Killer can't kill that, although I guess Walking Ballista could. I mean, we don't care that much about Luris, and I kind of think the Exalted just gaining 1 extra life is better. Oh, I forgot to activate my Knight of the Reliquary. That was bad. Don't think it's going to come back to punish us too much. But it was pretty free too, and we didn't. Yeah, so we're going to attack for 9, gain 9, and end the game pretty quick. So, I like to bring in the Forge-Tenders, the Path to Exiles. I like to cut Hexdrinker. I like to cut Giant Killer. Usually like to cut Walking Ballista. I think the Treespeaker is too fragile, although it survived that game. So we could trim like an Eladamri's Call. Oh no, let's actually trim an Aether Vial because we're bringing in 3 Path to Exile. And with that, let's go to game 2. On the draw for game 2, pretty interesting hand. I'm going to keep. I like Double Giver of Runes a lot. No turn 1 creature is pretty nice. Let's go ahead and just lead on Aether Vial. So if our opponent has a bolt, they can't use it here. An unsurprising Eidolon, which I will probably just use Path to Exile on my main phase, that way I can cast Giver of Runes. Razorverge Thicket is certainly a blessing in this matchup, having 2. We also have Zirda to go with Gavony Township to make our creatures big. Eladamri's Call is certainly a good one here. Let me go ahead and just path this Eidolon. And then hopefully we can get double Giver of Runes down. Giving our opponent mana this early is, I suppose, not ideal, but we'll live. I would kind of like to Eladamri's Call for Shalai, and then just vial in 4 mana Shalai if I can. Yeah, so why don't we go ahead and put the second Giver of Runes into play. And so if our opponent ever wants to remove a creature, they have to do it right now. Or you know, lose a removal spell in the future. So in response to this Aether Vial trigger, I'll go ahead and put this Noble Hierarch into play. And then tick up my Vial to 2. Second Eladamri's Call is interesting. I'm going to cast Zirda. We do take 2 to do so. But it is pretty nice with this Gavony Township, and is also a decent attacker, and also blocks Eidolon. They're going to just main phase Boros Charm me. So I suppose we could have like Eladamri's Call for Spike Feeder up if our opponent can somehow burn us out. I suppose we could also Eladamri's Call for Spike Feeder Heliod. I'm gonna attack. Attacking pressures my opponent's Eidolon pretty well. Really unlikely we get burned out here. They'd have to have four 1-mana burn spells, and if they do that, we can still Eladamri's Call for Spike Feeder. Smash to Smithereens on Aether Vial. Yeah, so I'm going to Eladamri's Call for Spike Feeder and put it into play, and then next turn, theoretically, we can Eladamri's Call for Heliod. And we have double Giver of Runes to protect the feeder, so I'm not really worried about it dying. We're going to go to 7 here. If we draw a land, then we can activate Heliod's ability for 1 mana and give something lifelink. You know what, why don't, instead of just dying to Bolt here by going Eladamri's Call for Heliod, let's just attack with both of these. I guess we should have played the Forge-Tender first, because I'm planning on activating my Gavony Township. And then we could have had a counter on the Gavony. But this is actually, I think, way better because our opponent is blocking the Zirda, so now we just gain infinite life. Kind of surprised not to see my opponent concede yet. So really easy combo to click through. You can just save targets and then always yield. One of the faster combos to click through. Alright, we're 1-0. See you guys for round number 2. We won 2 die rolls in a row. I'm going to reveal Zirda as my companion. Alright, another Aether Vial hand. I'll keep this one. Seems solid. Might just be a, we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4 for it to vial in. Hope our opponent doesn't kill it. And again, we just have the combo of Mana Dork plus Stoneforge Mystic, because we always have Zirda in our hand. It's kind of weird. It's a 3-card combo, but you always have one of the cards. And then, like, one of the card is just a Mana Dork. And, you even have fetch lands to get Dryad Arbor in case you didn't draw a Mana Dork. Opponent with a potentially difficult mulligan decision. They did not reveal a companion, and these days not revealing a companion usually means you're playing some, like, mostly linear strategy. They decided to go to 6. Fiery Islet into Swift Spear. So it looks like they're playing mono red Prowess, but they're not splashing white for Luris, which has been kind of a popular thing to do recently. Yeah, it does seem worth it to me to be able to just cast Stoneforge Mystic and grab... I think we're going to grab... Well... Maybe we grab Mantle. Thing is, like, if our opponent's very likely to kill this Stoneforge Mystic, so grabbing Batterskull I don't think is going to get the job done, as it were. But, like, we just have the Birds of Paradise to vial in here. Yeah, Burst Lightning, Stoneforge. So I'm glad I grabbed the Mantle instead of the Batterskull. No, I might actually leave this vial on 1 and cast Ranger-Captain, grab another bird, or potentially a Giver of Runes. I think vial that in. If we draw a land, we would have rather... Okay, so now that this is getting lava darted, we're definitely ticking this up. Really glad we won this die roll too. I'm gonna play my Giver. Next turn we can vial in Ranger-Captain and cast probably a Birds of Paradise. I think we block here. Like, most burn spells kill this giver. Like, if they have a Lava Dart in their hand, it's bad, but I don't mind, like, trading Giver of Runes for them, like, flashing back a mountain. Or flashing back Lava Dart by sacrificing a mountain. So it looks like that was a good block, and we saved a point of damage. Still no third land. That's okay, though. If we can get this vial up to Shalai mana, that's going to go a long way. Let me make sure I want to get Bird. I think I do. Although, double Giver of Runes plus Shalai... I guess it's not lights out because they have Kiln Fiend. They can just attack us. Yeah, let me grab Birds of Paradise. We need mana pretty badly. Our opponent also missed their land drop last turn, and they're going to have a hard time getting through Ranger-Captain plus Giver of Runes on red. Okay, giving their guys trample is huge for them here. They can Lava Dart. And Crash Through is so good here. They're going to Lava Dart the Bird. I'm going to Pro-Red the Bird. This lets the Bird soak up a point of damage, and then even though the Ranger Captain is going to die, it's blocking anyways. If they bolt the Ranger Captain, we're dead anyways. Yeah, we're also like pretty dead to the second Lava Dart, I think. Because of that trampling Kiln Fiend. Yeah, super dead. Okay. Tough stuff, but we're going to game 3. Lava Dart is very, very good against our deck full of 1 toughness creatures. Going to board in a very similar way to last time. Maybe we want the Sword of Fire and Ice. Feels kind of fragile. Let me go ahead and cut the Hexdrinker, the Treespeaker. You know, these like cute... Giant Killer actually seems better in this matchup than against Burn. Don't want the Ballista. Yeah, Giant Killer seems fine. Let me just go ahead and cut the second vial then, or the third vial. Maybe we could cut the Knight of the Reliquary. I could see this card just being way too slow. Just like 3 mana to just be smaller than their creatures. And I think I'll leave the Sword of Fire and Ice at home too. Well, always lovely to have Razorverge Thicket against the red-based Burn deck. I'm going to keep. We also have Spike Feeder, which is nice. Maybe we can find an Eladamri's Call for Heliod and gain infinite life again. I think that this turn we're going to just play a Bird. Next turn we can play 2 Mana Dorks and hold up Path. Or just play 2 Mana Dorks. Wow, that's nice. Must be whitelisted or something. Just draw both halves of the combo naturally. Gonna play the Heliod first because it can't be burned to death. Looks like our opponent may have kept a 1-lander. We were gonna draw Eladamri's Call anyways. So if my opponent leaves up mana, am I supposed to go for this combo? Did not play around that. Oh man, the worst possible hits. Well, we'll put our opponent out of their misery. This was a super lopsided game. Looks like maybe our opponent doesn't want to concede, or they're not familiar with how the combo works. Either way, I'll be happy to gain 100 life here. Not bad to click through. Just click on the spike feeder, click gain 2 life. Moto does the rest for you. Okay, so I'm just gonna gain, 120, and if our opponent kills the spike feeder, we'll gain like another 100 or 2. Kind of not really a game anymore. Well, I'm going to gain a bunch of life. Okay, so I've gained up to 300 life. Just going to stop there. Then I'm going to put these spike feeder counters over on my Birds of Paradise, and then I guess we're just going to play this game at 309 life, because that's the game my opponent wants to play. I think I'm just gonna get a Hexdrinker and then level it up to like protection from everything over the course of a couple of turns. Oh, I cited out the Hexdrinker. That's right. It's kind of only good in these kind of spots, isn't it? So we could get Shalai. We could get, although Shalai like matters so much less at this life total. Just get Stoneforge Mystic and grab a Batterskull. Kind of like that. Have another one anyways. We also get to lifelink up our Birds of Paradise and then get it to 3-4, which will be pretty hard for them. I will say that if you just kind of have the attitude of, I understand this is Magic Online, and you can't actually know what you play that's interesting. What? I don't know. I don't know what my opponent's saying there. Actually, let's just get the mantle, and then lifelink up the bird, and it'll be hard for my opponent to disrupt the combo if the bird is a 3-4. But yeah, I think just having an attitude of, I can't beat infinite life, I'll just concede. It's going to lead for a better experience for everybody. It seems like our opponent says they're not conceding for information, which is a real thing. Well, we'll take 1 down to 307. Another light up the stage. So we play Zirda, we put the, we can win next turn. Play Zirda. Man, my fingers are going to be sore after this one. I guess this isn't going to be that many clicks. Okay, opponent finally concedes. Alright, going to game 3. Okay, we are on the draw for game 3 of match 2. I'm going to keep this hand. Turn 1 Soulscar Mage, pretty powerful. Don't mind this Gavony Township. It was better than most lands we could have drawn. I'd rather them kill my Noble Hierarch than a bird, so I'll play that out. Bet they're going to cast a second main phase. Light up the stage. Yep. Revealing Mountain Lava Dart. Yeah, I think we can't... I don't want to play my mana dorks into this Lava Dart, so I'll just go ahead and... Stoneforge Mystic. Yeah, I'm going to grab the Umbral Mantle again. I don't usually love grabbing the Batterskull when the Stoneforge Mystic is very likely to die. We have the Gavony Township to maybe get these mana dorks out of Lava Dart range. So we're going to take 3 more this turn down to 14. Opponent has 3 cards still in their hand. We draw a Ranger-Captain of Eos. So we can play 2 mana dorks. We can play Ranger-Captain, grab Forge-Tender. I think I'm just going to play 2 mana dorks and get this Temple Garden down tapped. And next turn we can Ranger-Captain for a Forge-Tender. If we want to. Put it down to 2 cards. They also have the Lava Dart. I'm going to say no blocks here. I imagine our opponent's going to Lava Dart at least one of the mana creatures. They do choose to do so. They Lava Dart the Hierarch, which is, I think, the wrong one to dart because of the combo. Eladamri's Call is interesting. I think Ranger-Captain for Forge-Tender has got to be better. And then next turn we could Eladamri's Call for Shalai and play it. Seems kind of good. Being able to Ranger-Captain for Forge-Tender is just so nice in this matchup. Expecting my opponent to crack their Fiery Islet. Seems like they have a bolt in their hand and they were thinking about killing this Ranger-Captain, and now they're debating the merits of doing that or not. They decided just to crack their Fiery Islet instead, I think. 4 cards in their hand. They can do a lot with 4 cards. We could also next turn play Zirda and then activate Gavony Township, depending on what happens here. We could also Eladamri's Call for Ranger-Captain and play a second Forge-Tender. I think Shalai is probably going to be best. Wow, we just drew the Shalai. So I guess we're just going to cast that and hold up Eladamri's Call. Pretty nice. We even have Forge-Tender to protect this from like the second burn spell or a Burst Lightning or something. And Shalai will protect our Umbral Mantle combo, which is also good. We have Zirda plus Gavony Township, or Zirda plus Shalai activation, although Township is a little bit cheaper. Well, pretty free block with the Forge-Tender. I guess I'd rather try to kill the Soulscar Mage, so we'll block like this. One card we could lose to is Crash Through, plus a bunch of other burn spells, so I'm glad that they haven't cast one yet. Well, Forge-Tender does not beat that, does it? Gonna put 2 -1/-1 counters on all of our creatures. It's so good. This is insane. Jeez, that's like the best Kozilek's return I've ever seen. Alright, so let's cast Eladamri's Call. Probably for a second Ranger-Captain. To grab the second Forge-Tender. Kind of like that. Could also get Scavenging Ooze. I think I'm just going to get this, though. So we're going to be left with a Shalai and a Ranger-Captain with just one counter on it. But it still does kill the... Soulscar Mage, because 2 damage was dealt to the Soulscar Mage. Which is good. So let me go ahead and just get that Forge-Tender into play. And then attack with my 1 power creatures. Don't think I'm going to sack the 1 power Ranger Captain this turn or anything like that. Doesn't feel that necessary. If we draw a land, I'm probably going to Zirda plus activate Township, although I could also see playing Giver of Runes and Umbral Mantle first, especially if we draw a block like this, right? Second Kozilek's return would be so stupid. I guess second Kozilek's return would make us want to have blocked with the Ranger Captain. Okay, so we did draw the bird. So yeah, we'll play to winning next turn, especially because we have Shalai and Forge-Tender in play. Not a lot that can go wrong besides like the second Kozilek's return, which would be so silly. Attack my opponent for 5. We're gonna bolt the Shalai. Yeah, I'll go ahead and cash in the Forge-Tender for this. They've only got 2 cards in their hand. And I think I'm gonna sack my 1 power Ranger Captain in my opponent's upkeep. Okay, they use their second to last card to abrade the Umbral Mantle. Okay, so Shalai survives. Alright, well let me go and just sack this Ranger Captain so nothing too bad can happen this turn while our shields are kind of down. Oof. Be crazy to lose this game. So they didn't draw any creatures to play. Not sure how I feel about that. Let's play Zirda. We do have Giver of Runes up, and Zirda is hexproof, which is nice. We also we have Zirda Township. I'm gonna get a Dryad Arbor with this Wooded Foothills too. Probably gonna need to sacrifice this Ranger Captain. On my opponent's upkeep. It does seem like they have a burn spell here, but like a burn spell can only target the Shalai, and we have a Giver of Runes, so are they thinking about using 2 burn spells on the Shalai in response? I'm just going to activate this now. And then I guess I don't want to attack with Ranger into the Prowess. Yeah, I'm pretty scared of just a ton of bad stuff happening here. Okay, protection from red. Okay. Yeah, it seems like they were trying to get me to tap that Giver. I suppose if they just have an instant speed burn spell, sacking the Ranger is pretty bad. They've got 2 cards in their hand. We have a Shalai in play. I guess I'm not going to sack it. Just like losing our 4/4 is a pretty big cost. Hard to know for sure if that's the right thing to do or not. We were so far ahead, and then that Kozilek's return happened with the Soulscar Mage. Yeah, this was the card I was scared of. Crashed through. Maybe it was supposed to sack in response, but I think we're kind of committed at this point. Especially because they can just play any instance in response and they've certainly got another spell. It seems like it's a burn spell that they wanted to point at our face. They're going to bolt. Man, what a crazy game. Guess I was supposed to sack the Ranger-Captain. Felt tough to throw away the 4/4. Opponent's got 2 cards left in hand. Lava Dart targeting our... Oh man, Lava Dart. What a frustrating game. And light up. Their hand is just all spells. Yeah, okay, so they can still Lava Dart. Us down to 6. So we block like this. We die. Block like this. We go to 6. We die. Damn it. What a frustrating game this has been. Block like this, we take... I think we have to chump block with everything. Yeah. So if that's the case... No, this block doesn't work because we get trampled over for too much because they dart our face. So the only block I'm seeing that lets us survive is this one, which we just lose all of our creatures. It's a really bad beat. We go to 1. Well, that was a beating. I'll see you guys for match number 3. Well, the good news is we keep winning die rolls. I'm going to keep this hand. Have the combo again, just Mana Dork plus Stoneforge Mystic if we want to go for that. Well, that was another... The beats keep coming and they don't stop coming. I was just a little too far to the left of this forest and I clicked on Gavony Township instead. Man, we'd be in so much better shape if we had played our Mana Dork on turn 1. We did win the die roll. Our opponent didn't reveal a companion, so we're not playing the mirror. So it looks like just with a more focused Heliod version. Yeah, so we'll just play Bird's Hierarch and then set up for the win next turn. I believe we could have won this turn if we had it misclicked. So you have to hope for no Spike Feeder here. Kind of the frustrating thing is we can beat Infinite Life because we can make infinite damage. I don't think they have Spike Feeder. I think that they would have cast it by now. Yeah. So we win anyways, despite clicking on Gavony Township instead of Forest. Which is nice. Nice to not get punished after. Especially after that last game. It's just such a beating. It's probably good TV though. Alright, up a game against the other version of this deck, the this more focused Spike Feeder Heliod combo version. I do like Sword of Fire and Ice against this deck. I like the paths. Let's go ahead and trim at least 2 vials because we're bringing in so many non-creatures. I can see sort of Light and Shadow actually not being good. Creatures just aren't dying that often. Although the Pro White is nice. We might bring it back in. Also don't like the Hexdrinker very much. The boards get really clogged. You have to get this up to Pro everything before it really matters, and I think the matchup's just about comboing, not about getting a really resilient threat into play. This looks pretty good. I'm gonna keep it like this, I think. Seems like our deck is a little bit faster than theirs. It's also nice that we can beat Infinite Life with our infinite damage. Getting a Walking Ballista with Ranger-Captain does sound pretty good in this matchup. Sounds better on the play to have like a turn 3 Ballista though. Ballista plus Zirda is kind of a machine gun. 2 mana for 1 damage. I'm gonna keep. And that's gonna be my game plan. Grab a Ballista. They've mulliganed to 6. I'm keeping my 7. They've mulliganed to 5. Does make sense to mulligan aggressively in this matchup. Maybe we're supposed to double Bird next turn. I think on turn 3 we can go Ranger-Captain plus Zirda. We'll see what we draw before we make a decision. See what they do. If they're going to Ballista our bird, then it's easy. We just play 2 birds. Yeah, them being on the play and then 1-for-1ing us like that is pretty nice for us. And now next turn we can go Stoneforge plus Ranger-Captain. And then they have to kill something for us to not just infinitely kill them. Yeah, so Spike Feeder it does not kill us because we have Ballista to kill it. So we'll just kill the Ballista and then we can make infinite damage before they can, combo off. Or sorry, after they combo off. They gain infinite life, but we kill the Spike Feeder and then we make infinite damage. So, in Magic there's no such thing as truly going infinite, even in paper Magic. You have to pick a number and stop. So they pick 1 billion, and then when we kill their thing, they can no longer go infinite. They can even make 10 billion after that. But once we make infinite damage, all we do is we'll just say we'll make 12 billion damage, and then Infinite damage beats infinite life if they can stop making infinite life. I do think I'm going to sack my Ranger Captain here. Stop dying to Path. And we win. I guess we haven't shown them the land. That shows them that they're dead. So nice that Zirda just like makes the Stoneforge only. It's so cheap to just get the combo going. I really like the combo so far. Oh, we didn't need the land. Sorry. Oh right, they have Ballista. They have Ballista to chump block. Okay, so they're not dead. So we'll get this up to... I guess it doesn't really matter because we can keep the combo going with this forest. If we had one more mana, we could just Ballista the bird. They've got one card in their hand though. Even if they like path and break this up, we just have like Ballista going. We have Stoneforge Mystic for sort of fire and ice. So I'm trying to explain to my opponent in the chat that I can kill their Spike Feeder and then make more power than life that they've gained. All right, pretty short. Match 3. We'll be back for match number 4. We are on the draw for match 4. The first die roll we've lost this this video. Playing against Jingotha the Wellspring. Jingotha in theory goes in, you know, Niv Mizzet and Tron, but I've only seen humans players playing it so far. And I gotta say, that's like the most unexciting use of Companion to me, just playing a vanilla 5/5 effectively. Which it is free, more or less. I'm not saying it's wrong to do so, but it's not something I'm very excited by. Probably should have gotten a basic forest here. The Walking Ballista is potentially going to be pretty good. I am interested in using Eladamri's Call to get Stoneforge Mystic to get the combo. The combo's been really good this video. Yeah, with double Eladamri's Call, I am pretty interested in just like using Walking Ballista to kill that Thalia. Although we've drawn Umbral Mantle. How does that change things? Probably not too much. Yeah, so I'm going to play my Noble Hierarch. I'm going to play Walking Ballista. And then I'm going to block Champion of the Parish, and I'm going to ping Thalia, so that way we take no damage this turn. And then next turn, I'm probably playing Zirda, although that doesn't play around a Reflector Mage very well. But so we can play Umbral Mantle, which plays around Reflector Mage and Kitesail Freebooter. But it also tells our opponent exactly what our game plan is if they're familiar with the combo. Well, that bodes really well for us. But just playing Umbral Mantle means they can't Kitesail us, or they can Meddling Mage Zirda is one thing they can do. I mean, they can Meddling Mage Zirda anyways. Yeah, this just plays around the most stuff. And there's also like a non-zero chance that they're not familiar with the combo, even though it's kind of face up here. There's also, like, they need to have exactly Meddling Mage to stop me here. And now that we've lost the Ballista, you know, the only way we can combo from this point is to... kill the Meddling Mage with, like, Giant Killer after it grows from Thalia's Lieutenant, or sort of Light and Shadow back Walking Ballista, which actually sounds kind of good here, not gonna lie. Yeah, so they do name Zirda, unsurprisingly. Drawing 2 vials in a row, not very good here. Alright, so what do we want to do? We could Eladamri's Call for Stoneforge Mystic, for sort of Light and Shadow, and then play an Aether Vial. We're definitely casting Eladamri's Call, so we'll just like take a look at our deck. Oh yeah, let's just Spike Feeder Heliod. Yeah. Yeah. So they could kill us this turn. I don't think just Thalia's Lieutenant does it. Yeah, Thalia's Lieutenant puts us to 1, although we do have Horizon Canopy. So it would have to be Thalia's Lieutenant plus another creature. So I think I like going for this. They have Mantis Rider, which is... Oh, that's actually lethal. Okay, let's go to game 2. Tough stuff. Another matchup for Path to Exile and Sword of Fire and Ice. Going to cut the Sword of Light and Shadow. I think we want to cut the Hexdrinker again. Probably the Scavenging Ooze too. And 1 Aether Vial? Kind of want to have... Yeah, I'll just cut 1 Aether Vial. And with that, let's go to game 2. Weird hand. I think I'm going to keep. Just putting a Sword of Fire and Ice on a Batterskull does seem kind of good. Knight of the Reliquary could be strong here too. Kind of an interesting, just like a pretty fair Stoneblade hand on the play. One thing I don't think I mentioned in the deck tech is Batterskull and Zirda play really nicely together. Just 1 mana to bounce the Batterskull, 1 mana to replay with Stoneforge Mystic, 3 mana to equip the Batterskull. I've considered playing 2 Batterskulls and just being in on that plan. Doesn't sound too bad to me. Don't hate Giver of Runes here. But we are going to grab Batterskull, and we're going to go in on it, I think. So nice that Stoneforge Mystic is a tutor for our combo, but also just is Stoneforge Mystic and is a pretty powerful grindy threat. Meddling Mage probably naming Zirda if I had to guess. They name Walking Ballista. I mean, that's just a one of in our deck. Not that they necessarily know that. But I'm feeling pretty good. We could have played Birds to try to, like, guarantee putting Sword of Fire and Ice on Batterskull next turn, but I think I like getting the Giver of Runes down to protect from Reflector Mage on the Germ token. Yeah, Noble Hierarch feels pretty beatable to me. If they Thalia's Lieutenant, they can attack with their Meddling Mage. Okay, Drannith Magistrate stops us from being able to cast Zirda, but that's okay. So we're not really like that in on Zirda this game anyways. Now, do I want to trade the Germ token for the Meddling Mage? I think the answer is no. I might, like, if we could still Zirda, and it would be pretty easy to get the Germ token back down, but we can't because of Magistrate. So maybe our opponent should have waited on the Magistrate if they were really interested in making that trade. Yeah, so no Sword of Fire and Ice equipped this turn. But that's okay. We can just like put it into play this turn, equip next turn, and then either play Stoneforge Mystic for the mantle, not that we need it, or Eladamri's Call. One thing I forgot to mention is Mantle does work with, you know, Giver of Runes, Knight of the Reliquary. It's better if you have a Zirda in play, but there are other, you know, Mantle is not just a dead card outside of the combo. You can get cute with it. Also, I meant to mention this in the deck tech, but if your opponent has blockers and you have a Noble Hierarch, you can put the Mantle on Zirda and then make it to where your opponent can't block with multiple creatures using Zirda's activated ability and spending 1 mana per creature you don't want them to block with. There's the Thalia's Lieutenant. Into Phantasmal Image on Thalia's Lieutenant. Interesting. Well, we can just block with the Germ Token and give protection, so they can't really get in for any damage here. Yeah, I'm not sure what I want to call for, but I know I want to put this into play, so we'll just do that. I'm going to shock to hold up a Batterskull Bounce, equip, and probably want to give Pro white here so they can't gang block. And they can choose to chump block with, they need to chump block with the Hierarch. Yeah, because now we just get to kill this Thalia's Lieutenant for free and draw a card, where I think they just should have stopped us from being able to do that. So holding up Eladamri's Call / Batterskull Bounce here. So this allows them to attack with their Thalia's Lieutenant and not and trade for the Germ Token, but we'll probably just take it. Is there anything we can... We can't Eladamri's Call for Walking Ballista because they have a Meddling Mage naming it, which is kind of a bummer. Maybe just Eladamri's Call for another Giver of Runes. Opponent doesn't know our hand, so I'm just going to let this happen. They don't know to name Eladamri's Call. They name Heliod. So I imagine just attacking with this Thalia's Lieutenant for 9. Yeah, we can take 9. That's fine, just 9. And now they're just dead on board. So I'm actually not going to cast this Eladamri's Call. Don't want to give them any more information than I need to. It's pro white. Attack. Protection from red, white, and blue. Yeah, they should not have tapped their Hierarchs. They needed a green blocker. Also, notably, our opponent did not reveal their companion this game, so that infers that they brought in Auriok Champion or Dismember. I guess Dismember is the card. Not gonna like bring in Veil of Summer for that, but good to know. If they reveal their companion, you know they don't have Dismember in their deck or Auriok Champion. Game 3. Hand seems fine. I guess I'm a little worried by like how aggressively my opponent named Walking Ballista last game, but Ballista is good. I'm keeping this. Gonna like maybe Giver plus Ballista on 1 next turn. Could also just cast Zirda next turn. Then if we draw a land, we can like play an equipped sword to Zirda. That also stops them from being able to Meddling Mage Zirda if they don't Meddling Mage Zirda this turn. pretty soft to Reflector Mage, although they may have Reflector Maged my bird if they had it. Giver of Runes on the bird is also pretty nice. There's tons of options this turn. I like being able to potentially just play and equip Sword of Fire and Ice onto Zirda next turn. So that's what I'm going to go for. Hello? Hey, what's up? I mean, it's ready enough for you to bring stuff over. I texted you. I was recording a video before I cleaned the living room and stuff. Does the living room need to be cleaned? Ah. Yeah, the kitchen's clean. I have not cleaned the living room, is what I'm telling you. Not the fridge. What time are you going to get here? Okay. So you just need the fridge clean is what you need? In addition to the pantry? Okay. Sure. Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye. Okay, so sorry about that. I had to take a call. Opponent's casting Drannith Magistrate. Nice that we've already cast Zirda. Maybe try to combo. Taking a lot of damage in the air. Can't afford to take this too many times. Opponent only has one card in their hand. And we drew Path to Exile, so I think that we just need to path this Mantis Rider this turn. So what are we doing with the rest of our mana? Could Eladamri's Call for Stoneforge Mystic. Feels very slow. Kind of like just casting Sword. Sword and no equip. It sucks their Horizon Canopy. Champion of the Parish is super okay. Thalia's Lieutenant is pretty good for our opponent, although we're going to be able to... They can't attack super easily with these guys into Zirda, so I think they're still going to Exalted their Mantis Rider, and then we're going to Path. Notably, if they had revealed their companion, they would have, a 5/5 to play next turn, which they don't currently have access to. My opponent has no cards in their hand, so we could just Eladamri's Call for Stoneforge Mystic and try to kill next turn. Chump block with the Stoneforge Mystic on my champion. We have Zirda to block. Yeah, I think with specifically this Gavony Township cutting off our colored mana to like where we could cast 2 givers and like equip. That sounds pretty good too. Casting giver, equipping onto Zirda, attack with Zirda, and then they double block. Yeah, that's not very good. Yeah, I'm just gonna go for the kill next turn. They don't have a flying creature, they've got no cards in their hand. They need a top deck to interact with us, and if they hit it, good for them. If they don't, we win. They need, like, Thalia's Lieutenant might do it. Look, they found a Phantasmal Image for Thalia's Lieutenant. So we're gonna block one of these, chump block, take 9. No, we're taking 10. Six, 7, 8. Yeah, 6, 10. Damn it, that's exactly lethal. So we need to double chump. And we can't win. Well, good for them. Tough stuff. Tough stuff indeed. Okay, so on the draw again for match number 5 here. Very interesting hand here. Very classic hand, 1-land Aether Vial. If we can find one more land source, the Eladamri's Call is going to be quite good with this Aether Vial. I'm going to keep. Sort of Light and Shadow is kind of awkward. Looks like our opponent's mulliganing to 5 at least, and they are on the play. This hand is really good if it draws a land at like the top 2 or 3 cards. We don't really need to cast this Eladamri's Call until we have Aether Vial on 2. So it looks like the top 3 is really good. Top 2 is top 3 is fine. If the land is the 3rd card down, this hand is fine. But if it's in the top 2, this hand is very good. Okay, opponent mulled to 5 and is playing a Birds of Paradise on turn 1. That's usually a good sign. You know, usually Birds of Paradise decks don't like to mulliganing super aggressively. Also, our opponent is not playing a Zirda deck. We are. So once we get the Vial to 3, Knight of Reliquary can make some mana if we just never draw a land. Interesting to see Bird with Castle Garenbrig, and also weird to see it with Dryad. Opponent's playing a little bit of a brew over there. Usually Dryad and Castle means a Titan deck. Let's go ahead and Walking Ballista that Birds of Paradise. Notably, this hand is missing a Mana Dork for the combo. However, Ranger-Captain can grab us a bird. I do think that we are going to try to combo this game. The combos looked really good. I don't know if I've really articulated this point, but you know, the combo isn't necessarily the plan A. Plan A really seems to be... Ooh, Renin 6. Interesting. Plan A really seems to be, you know, mid-range creature beatdown, but the fact that we can pretty consistently combo on turn 4, but also sometimes turn 3, does give us a lot of game in these like very linear matchups, which I've liked a lot. So opponent is drawing Renin 6. And they get to play their Ghost Quarter from the top of their library. And they've also had one card in their hand this whole game that they haven't really been casting. So if that one card is a Primeval Titan, they get to cast it this turn. Yeah. That's going to make things really difficult. In fact, so difficult I think we're just dead. We're not just dead, but we're not really alive either. So opponent gets to, yeah. We're let's go ahead and go to game 2. That was really tough. This deck looks cool. I like Renin 6 a lot in the shell. Not sold on the Birds of Paradise. So you want Path to Exile against these Titan decks. Like, a lot of times their Titans are not even actually very good if you can Path their Dryad and vice versa. Giant Killer also kills Titan, which is kind of nice to be able to tutor for that. Forge-Tender seems good against Anger. Spirit could be good if they're trying to Valakut our board, but also they could just Valakut our face. Don't think we want the Sword. Don't want the Hexdrinker, don't want the Ooze. Gonna trim at least one Aether Vial. Shalai seems quite good. Spike Feeder Heliod is good, but hopefully our opponent doesn't make us click again. That was such a pain in the other match. I think we're gonna board out the Ballista. So like, Ballista combos with Heliod, and it also makes a ton of mana, but I think we can do without. Sorry, it doesn't make a ton of mana. It's good if you have infinite mana, but we're not going to have infinite mana very often in this matchup, I think. So why don't we actually cut the Treespeaker too? Seems kind of hard to do against this deck. Okay, we're on the play. Reveal Zirda. Don't think we can keep this. We do technically have the combo because we can get, you know, the Mantle with the Stoneforge, and we can get Dryad Arbor with Heath. Seems very slow. Maybe this is fine on the play. We do have paths to slow them down. I'm going to try this. You know, when I first saw this hand, I thought we just didn't have a mana dork to combo with, but we do have Windswept Heath for Dryad Arbor. Okay, let's go ahead and lead on a tapped Temple Garden. Birds of Paradise is super interesting. You usually see these decks playing Sakura Tribe Scout instead. I'm not sure what the, you know, like the rationale is behind playing birds instead. Well, I guess I'm glad they're bolting Stoneforge Mystic instead of Zirda. How do we want to do this? I don't think there's any way to go off next turn because we can't give the Dryad Arbor haste. So why don't we cast Umbral Mantle this turn? Oh, hold on. Maybe that's not good. Yeah, I think I'm gonna get. Okay, I'm gonna cast the Umbral Mantle this turn. Just, you know, get that 3 mana commitment out of the way. Next turn, we can play Forge-Tender, hold up double path, and then the turn after, on turn 5, we should be able to, you know, make our infinitely big attacker, and maybe we get to, you know, path two blockers if they have a blocker for the combo. We also have, you know, the Forge-Tender to protect against a bolt on our Zirda or Dryad Arbor. They can cast a Titan here, but I suppose the Titan is... Oh, I guess maybe we could have pathed this bird on their upkeep, huh? So let's let this Titan trigger resolve. If we path in response, they're going to get 2 zombies instead of just 1. We need them to only have 1 zombie. That way we can path the Titan. Oh, if we path the Titan then path the zombie, they get another zombie. Why do these enter untapped? It's so frustrating. If we had the we don't have the mana to cast chop. We can't chop down and get Dryad Arbor. We also got a Blast Zone on 1. Let's get Dryad Arbor. So we Path Titan. They get a zombie because they get a regular basic forest. Yeah, they certainly have enough basics to get another creature. So I guess we just make them chump block the Dryad Arbor, which is not, you know, ideal. It certainly shows, you know, weakness in the combo that you can't, you know, you can just block these infinitely big creatures. That is a weakness. Did we cast this giant killer? Probably not into this blast zone. I guess we can gain infinite life if we can put a Batterskull on the Dryad Arbor. Kind of an interesting game. And double path means that they're not going to be able to Dryad plus Valakut us, I imagine. We do have Sword of Light and Shadow also that can give our Dryad Arbor protection from black. That way they won't be able to block the Dryad Arbor anymore with zombies. I guess that could be our game plan. Although if they just take this blast zone up to 3, we probably can't win. It looks like they're casting, oh, Cavalier of Thorns. I thought this was going to be another Titan. Cavalier is fine, I think. What an interesting game this has been. So assuming they don't have another green creature to play, we're going to path the bird and the Cavalier and then win over the course of 2 turns. I suppose we want to path the Cavalier now so they can't... Okay, well, opponent's trying to get an F6 check on us, but that's not going to work. Oh, wait, you know what I forgot about? I forgot about Zirda's ability to make things unable to block. It wouldn't have worked last turn. But if we draw a land, we can make 5 things unable to block. They're 5 creatures. Interesting. So now we can gain infinite life if we want to. Or not infinite, but as much life as we want to. So let me make sure I understand how this works. So we move the Umbral Mantle over here to the Zirda. Then we tap, make this unable to block, untap for 1 mana. Tap, make this unable to block, untap for 1 mana. Yeah, they have just one too many blockers. I feel like this whole league has just been our opponents just having one too many of various different things. I think that I want to go for the actual kill next turn. Because if this was, you know, paper, I would just gain infinite life, but it's not paper. And I don't think we're going to have another opportunity to cast this giant killer. Although we could just cast Sword of Light. I don't want to not have path up for something. I'm going to make my opponent jump block. Cast the Giant Killer, which they can Blast Zone, but that's okay. This has been such a crazy game. So next turn we can Zirda the green blocker or path it, and then put Stoneforge into one play put Lighted Shadow into play for 1 mana, and then equip for 1 mana, and kill our opponent. So opponent has 2 cards in their hand. I'm trying to figure out what even gets them out of this situation. I guess another Bolt on Zirda would do it. Even like Dryad plus land doesn't work because we can path the Dryad in response to the land, and they won't get a... I guess Dryad plus fetch land does work. So they can go Dryad of the Grove, play a fetch land, trigger Valakut, target Zirda, and if we path in response, they can crack their fetch, and then trigger Valakut again and kill Zirda again. So maybe we were supposed to put the Umbral Mantle on the Zirda, although the Zirda is not tapped. I suppose it could become tapped. But if we put the Umbral Mantle on the Zirda, we can, you know, untap it and grow it to protect it from 3 damage. But we won that game anyways. That was a really cool game. I think we've had some bad beats this league, but I think we've done a good job of showcasing what this deck is capable of. Bad beats or no. I think I want to have access to the Selfless Spirit. I'm not sold on this Giant Killer, to be honest. In general, and in this matchup, it's been fine. It is nice to reduce this activated ability by 1. But the card's been very medium. I would not be playing it if it weren't for Ranger-Captain. Could maybe trim a Ranger-Captain on the draw. Could see 4 being a little too many. Try that. This is a very weird hand. Both of our post-board hands have been very strange. Double Giver of Runes I think is good in this matchup. We don't have much to protect. Shalai plus Double Giver of Runes is very strong. I think that's hard for our opponent to beat. I guess they can just make a ton of zombies. We have a path as well, which is good with this plan. I'm gonna keep. I'm not sold on this hand, but I think that this hand has enough going for it that it's a keep. And I like that we have Shalai plus Double Giver, which can give protection from Colorless to protect against Valakut. There's that Bird of Paradise again. Our opponent mulliganed to 6. I don't think I said that. Interesting. We can use Eladamri's Call on turn 3 to just play a Dryad Arbor if we miss our land drop. I don't think I've ever Eladamri's called for a Dryad Arbor before. They don't have another land to play, which is interesting. I'm going to go ahead and play Double Giver of Runes. Just have Triple Giver. Don't think that with our opponent not missing their land drop there, I think the odds of us wanting to path Dryad this turn are like almost 0. Cinder Vines. Interesting. Not super worried about Cinder Vines. We did draw a land. I think I just want to Eladamri's Call for a Birds of Paradise. And play it. And then we get the Shalai going, which will be really good. Probably going to lose our Batterskull to the Cinder Vines, but I'm also not very worried about that. Can almost guarantee that our opponent has a Prime Time in their hand. But with Triple Giver of Runes and Shalai, Prime Time is really not doing all that much. So we'll get the Shalai down. It's also a clock. I suppose Field of the Dead can go wide around this. We'll figure it out. Maybe we'll draw like Heliod Spike Feeder. Hopefully our opponent doesn't draw Castle, and then they just have enough Titan mana out of nowhere. Dryad number 2. Okay, so we did draw. We have double Eladamri's Call. So if we Eladamri's Call for Stoneforge Mystic, and our opponent casts Primeval Titan, they die. So if we Eladamri's, so do they die? No, they die if we draw a land. If we Eladamri's Call for Stoneforge Mystic, play it, get Mantle, they can no longer Cindervines the Mantle. So I like that. I like that this line will make our opponent. I think our opponent will play around the combo if they draw a land for Primeval Titan, and so I like that if they draw the land, they just can't go for Titan, or at least I think that they won't go for it. And then if they ever tap out, they kind of just lose. Also, one thing I wanted in the sideboard was a Caustic Caterpillar or a Qasali Pride Mage, but there wasn't really enough. I feel like there weren't really enough things I was scared of blowing up to actually play a copy of that card. But it's I'd probably play Caustic Caterpillar because you can tutor for it with Ranger-Captain. Okay, they found a Valakut, which did not trigger, but they're dead to a land. Because we Mantle, Zirda, equip. We did not draw the land, sadly. Pretty sadly, even. So what are we doing here? I kind of like casting Zirda. Do I want to pro-green the Shalai? I don't think so. And then putting the Batterskull into play end of turn. See if our opponent, kills that with the Cindervines, and then like unlock. We'll be able to try to kill them with Umbral Mantle combo. And they kind of have to Cindervines the Batterskull. Yeah, triple Giver Runes is so nice. And notably, all of our creatures are already hexproof except for Shalai, and we're hexproof too. So their Valakuts are really just not doing very much. Also, if our opponent casts Primeval Titan here, they lose. They have a second Cindervines. That's so bad for us. So I suppose we want to wait to put this Batterskull into play for a turn where we can bounce it. Remember, we can bounce it for 1 mana with Zirda in play. And we should probably start attacking too. Maybe it was a mistake to not attack last turn, but I'm going to go ahead and give my Zirda pro-green and attack for 4. I like this deck a lot. This deck is a lot of fun. And we can like put the Batterskull on the Zirda for 3 mana. If they Cindervines it, we get to bounce it for 1 mana. There's the Titan, but Valakut doesn't do anything. Field of the Dead is good, but we can path the Titan. We can beat 6 zombies with the Batterskull, in theory at least. Maybe we should have pathed the Titan now. I guess they would have gotten more triggers. Alright, so we're going to give Shalai protection from colorless. Remember, lands are colorless, even if it looks super duper red. And our opponent tapped out. So if they don't have a land to play that's untapped, we just kill them. They do have an untapped land to play. Stinks. And that blast zone is a huge problem. We don't really have an answer to it. So let me put this Batterskull into play for sure. How many times can we activate Shalai's ability? We can activate Shalai's ability 1 time. And we can put our opponent to 1 if we do that. Or we get I think we're just gonna win. So here's what I'm seeing. We can activate Shalai's ability, put a counter on everything. Maybe we could have done this sooner. I don't think we could have. But just protection from green Shalai. Protection from green Zirda. And protection from green Stoneforge Mystic. And get in for 10. Wow, that was a great game. I think every match this league was really, really interesting and cool. I do think we had some bad beats, but I do think that I did a good job showcasing what the deck is doing. I would like to find room for a Caustic Caterpillar, probably cutting like the 4th Veil of Summer, maybe the 3rd Path. I do like 2 Forge-Tender, I do like the Sword. But overall, I do like the deck a lot. I am really, really into it. I'm going to be playing it a little bit on the Modern Streamers League. It's one of my 3 decks for that event. And I think that this deck is probably the best way to build a Stoneforge Mystic, green-white combo style deck. I'm really, really happy. I put a lot of work into this. I probably played like... This has probably played 40 to 45 matches of this deck, tuning it so far. So I'm pretty happy with it. If you like this video, you can hit the subscribe button. Find me over on twitch.tv/Aspiringspike or Twitter. I post a bunch of deck lists there. And I will see you guys next time.